Welcome back, everyone. League of Inches podcast is back, video as well. New faces on board. Sorry, I've been away. Haven't been able to do too many of these. It's been a crazy, probably 3 or 4 weeks for myself. You probably recognise the two I've got on board. If you've watched some of my appearances lately on the Talking Parra podcast, it's the host, Adam Martin, not on the hosting seat this video, but definitely with some good talking points to add to us this today. And then we've got Matt from MTatey Sports TV. So both massive parts of the Talking Parra podcast, massive Parra fans, but also massive fans of the game itself, and want to jump on and talk a bit of footy and let's see what we can do with this channel and how we can go. But first up, boys, I want to talk about the round that we just had, Magic Round. Get your thoughts on the weekend itself, the games, the atmosphere, what you think of it, if there's a way that you might think it could be better. I've got one idea I'll go to at the end. But Adam, let's get to you first, because I know you went and you were actually there all three days, I'm pretty sure, and paid a price for it at the end. How'd it go for you?
It was a lot of footy, Like a lot of footy. It was great. I'd do it again. I've gone to Magic Round, I think, all but 1 year when it's actually been on. And that's the first year I've done all 3 games. And they said I paid the price on Sunday, missed the Tigers versus Dragons game because I just need to go back to bed for a bit. We had about 8 hours sleep in 3 days. And I didn't drink heaps. Like, I drank consistently, but I wasn't pouring down, so I was fine. But it's a lot of footy. And obviously it was pretty disappointing watching, 6 of 7 games of football, then making it to the last game, watching Parramatta get beat. But look, I'll do it all again, as I've said. The atmosphere, incredible. Mexican waves are a thing again, apparently. Sculling. Look, if you go there and you walk down the aisle with 4 drinks, you're going to be made to scull your drinks. There was beer snakes, there was beach balls, there was crowd chants, there was everything. There was Hey Baby for about 2 minutes during the Parramatta game. That was pretty good. There's not much else I can add really about the atmosphere, but because it just kind of had everything. Like, look, the one thing I will say that was lacking in the atmosphere was crowd chants for the actual team. You kind of had a lot of them in the same supporters base. So like the South Sydney fans, for example, in supporters base, they tried hard to get some atmosphere going, but it didn't really happen. The only real teams that could do that were Canberra, because they had a drum, and Parramatta, because we had a drum. So the chants went around the whole ground for that. So that's one thing that is a little bit lacking. If you want to talk about the games, we're going to talk about the games around, or are we going about later?
Yeah, games as well. What you thought of the games?
So surprisingly, one of the games I said I'd probably miss, I said, I'm not that worried if I get there. Let's go to the pub for a bit, was the Canberra versus Bulldogs game. And it actually ended up being a game of the round.
Yeah.
For me, it was entertaining as a neutral game, and it had a bit of everything. So it was pretty awesome. There's a lot of disappointing, unclose games, a lot of boring game. I could have fallen asleep during the Manly versus Brisbane game. For me, it just didn't quite have, I don't know, what I was after. Like Manly, I guess we can probably touch on Manly, but I find Manly a very disappointing team with a non-fit Turbo, because their halves are too much the same. Both their halves were very structured halves, and without Turbo playing that ad-lib footy, then they really couldn't do much. But looking at the other games, the Penrith Warriors game, you had 50,000 people there and 47,000 of them were on the Warriors. I thought the Warriors were pretty much screwed. Nothing went their way. As usual, everything went Penrith's way. Moving on to the Dolphins Cronulla game, everyone was on the Dolphins. I felt sorry for the Sharks in a way, because I love Nico Hines. He's a man of the people. Everyone loves him, but the Dolphins just ran over top of him, and you had the whole crowd. And then Melbourne versus South Sydney was a hard game for me to watch, because I hate both teams. I really do. So I didn't care who won that game. I just wanted there to be a brawl, and there almost was. But so moving on to the Sunday, Tigers Dragons, I missed, can't comment. Had a good sleep though. And then the Cowboys upsetting the Roosters was great fun, because I probably spent 80 minutes with every single player that ran past. So we're sitting in row 1. Every single Roosters player that ran past, I asked them if they could teach Teddy how to pass the ball so he doesn't fall to the ground. And then obviously moving on to our game, I'll give more thoughts on that tonight, but it was just a disappointing result with some unneeded changes. But as I said, a lot of footy. I'll do it all again. There is one thing I think they could do better. I'll let Matty have his say first. I think me and you were going to say similar things about that. So,
Matty, yeah, I know you didn't get the chance to go up for the weekend, and that killed you. But how do you find it as a TV?
It was good. It was good to watch every game. Obviously, we watch every game anyway. Hopefully, I'll get up there next year. But from a TV point of view, it was just like there was nothing special about it. They didn't go around outside the ground and show you all the fun stuff happening out there. And I know Matty Johns had, I think, Fletcher and Heine in a bubble over at Caxton, but other than that, there was not much views of what's going on outside, which was a bit disappointing. But yeah, definitely, as Adam said, like he took my match of the round. It was Canberra versus Doggies versus Raiders. Yeah, the Warriors were unlucky. There was a few hip drops there. If the Warriors stayed down, they might have got the decisions, but to their credit, they just got up and played the ball. And yeah, we saw what happened at the end of that game. But yeah, the Tigers game was crazy. Especially the last couple of seconds of pass to nobody, and then Ben Hunt soccers it through to himself, and they had the chance of winning. I think Sully could have went himself without doing that flick pass. But yeah, that last play, that's 2 tackles in a row. That new fullback, Buller saved the day for Tigers. So they should have had him in there from round 1 by the looks of things. So yeah, but other than that, I'll be there next year for sure. Just watching everyone on social media and that, I'm not missing next year.
We'll welcome you up here. No worries about that. With the games, I sort of, a little bit like you, Adam, I thought the games were a little bit whatever. They sort of never reached the heights. Like even the Storm and South game, which I was really looking forward to, probably the Manly Broncos game as well, where in the lead up you thought these are going to be cracking contests, just really weren't. And I just sort of like as you said, the match of the round was probably a 2 sides who have been struggling so far this year. But I was only there on the Sunday, so I'm going to talk about the atmosphere I felt at the game for the Sunday. I felt like it sort of missed the mark a little bit. Again with you, Adam, like with the chants and things like that, I felt like at the moment, the way they've set it up, it's really good for a group of like blokes to go up to and watch and be part of. It's 3 days of just being up there, probably away from their misso and kids or whatever, and just running amok, which obviously most of them did. Is that all the NRL want to cater for? I've heard in the past that's not who they want to cater for anymore. They want to try and be a bit more family friendly and things like that. Is 3 days in a row of 2 of those days is 3 matches. Is that too much for, say, your kids and that to be part of? I felt like one of the big problems with Magic Round is there's so many neutral fans that go to the games. That's why you miss that chanting side of it. And so like even when like the Parra game and that, or the games before, and when it's a team scored, it wasn't really that roar you normally hear when a team scored. It was sort of like a, oh yeah, type thing. Like you felt like you had to clap or just applaud it. So
it was people getting their multis up when they were cheering. Like,
yeah,
as soon as Sivo scored, the Sivo chant went up, and I looked at the bloke next to me joined in. They all had him in their multi. So
yeah, like I feel like the way they've set it up, I feel like Brisbane do it best. So I don't know if it would work best anywhere else the way they've set it up. My idea would be, would 2 venues on the one weekend work, where you've got 2 days of 2 games for both of them, so you only sit through 2 double headers, and then it's at 2 different stadiums. So let's say next year, you'd have Suncorp the Friday, Saturday, or the Saturday, Sunday, however they want to do it, and then at the same place you have at Allianz or something, you've got the 2 games and 2 games. Do you boys have anything you might try and tweak to how they've set it up?
I thought. Do you want me to go? I've been thinking about this one because I knew it was coming. I thought it through well because they did it for this gather round for the AFL, obviously. I think keeping it in Brisbane works. I'm hoping it goes to Auckland the year after this for the travel, because I think the people of New Zealand deserve something after a couple of years away from footy. But having it in Brisbane works just for the point of there's so many supporters of different teams based up there, and it's such an easy place to get to for everyone around as well. Like, it's such an easy flight for everyone from Sydney, people to come down from Townsville, people already live up there as well. Like, we see when Parramatta play up there, the amount of, yeah, exactly right. We see how Parramatta play up there, we see the Dragons play up there. All the big 80s teams have got a big following up there because Brisbane weren't in the comp. So it works there. The only other place I could see it working is Newcastle, but the stadium's not big enough. So my theory behind it would be to leave it at Brisbane, keep all the games on the same weekend, keep them as the way they are, but on the Saturday night, take the games to the Gabba. have 3 games at the Gabba. I know it's not the best place to watch football from, but it gives that pitch a rest as well, because the quality of football was affected on Sunday. We had that massive storm that hit as well, but the quality of football was affected by the way the pitch was. So the pitch needs a bit of a break. That's what they did well in the AFL. The Gabba's available. He's got it teed up with the AFL, obviously, that the Lions don't play. And, we know Brisbane are using it later in the year, so use it for the Saturday. It's not that much further out. I know it's not as easy to get to a Suncorp, hasn't got the pubs around, but it will protect the ground. So,
yeah, I definitely agree. I think Brisbane do need to hold it in some capacity. It works really well. Just all the pubs are really close as well. It's really good. Matty, what was your thought process?
Yeah, I was gonna say, have try and find like a precinct with two grounds, like say here in Sydney, you could play at ANZ, and then you can play other games at that other whatever that other stadium is called around. Yeah, that one. So, you know what I mean? Like, and then the whole precinct. But yeah, for me, as Adam said, I know the Gabba, I think it's like 6-minute drive, Uber drive or something from Suncorp anyway. So, they wouldn't lose much by taking some of the games to Gabba. But yeah, I definitely think the quality of football on Sunday, especially our game, was affected by the ground.
Yeah, no, it wasn't good. And one of those teams you mentioned on the Sunday who could have got it done and didn't, it was the Dragons. And there's been a lot of talk. Probably it feels like all season now. And it probably started late last year as well about the coach. Got in, Hook, obviously. And we've heard about the candidates. It's likely this is it for Hook, whether he lasts the season or I'm not too sure. But the 3 candidates seem to be Jason Riles, Ben Hornby, Dean Young are the main sort of front runners there. And for mine, I'm not sure why Flanagan keeps sort of getting overlooked for these types of roles, because in a way I feel like he might be the ideal candidate to get them back to at least a competitive footy side. But Matty, what do you reckon in terms of the main candidates here for the Dragons? Who should be getting this job?
See, if I'm Dragons, I'm going after Riles, just because he's had that experience under Robson and Bellamy. But I think he'll hold off for Bellamy's job. But yeah, I like the idea. I kind of don't like the idea of ex-football players coaching. We've seen it fail in the past. But yeah, I like the idea of trying to bring back like a coach that's won in that club, like knows what it's like to win, knows what it's like, has the passion for the club. And yeah, I think Matt Cooper's also put his hand up as well. But yeah, like I don't know. I don't like the fact it's all ex-players, but we've seen ex-players. Obviously, Flanagan's an ex-player and he's had success, and all the other coaches. But yeah, I'd like to see just Nathan Brown didn't work there. I don't know about Trent Barrett. Like I don't know if they can bring these players in to develop the culture and change all that, but I don't think it will work. But I'd be going for Riles. Riles is probably the only one that I see working at that club in the future.
The interesting thing there is that could become a very embarrassing situation for the Dragons, I feel, because for mine, Riles is waiting for the Storm job. And the only thing that's been probably stuck in his way is Billy Slater and what he decides to do. I think we all saw the vision over the weekend where he's really involved with Bellamy in the chats about the Storm. So there's always that little bit of doubt at the moment about the Storm, what they're going to do next year. Is Slater in the sights of him, or is it the job for Riles to step up to? So I feel like for the Dragons, they're not going to get any closure on this until the Storm decide what they're doing first, in a way, because it's a ripple effect. Adam, what about you? What do you think with the coaching here?
I'm a bit with Matt in a way. I've got some other different points to make, but I'm sick of seeing just former NRL players, because they were good players, getting coaching opportunities. But I guess, look, it's probably good in a way they've started to look towards assistant coaches, because there was so much recycling of coaches happen for a while. You know, a coach would get fired from a club, they go in the wilderness for 5 years or go to the Super League and they'd reappear. The problem I have is with assistant coaches, we've seen a lot of assistant coaches be really good assistant coaches, but not be able to take that step to be a head coach. Trent Barrett's an example. So much Nathan Brown. Look back to Stephen Kearney when Stephen Kearney was at Parramatta. There's been several of them over the years. And there's been some good ones come through too, don't get me wrong. But look, I want to throw a bloke in the ring. I know him personally, but it's someone who's been a hard worker of the game as well. And he's worked his way up from a base level. He was coaching at Knockouts to start with, then worked his way in Newcastle comp. Took the Knights to a win last year in the women's comp, brand new team. And then this year coached obviously the Indigenous All-Stars team, which is Ronnie Griffiths. He's a bloke waiting for an opportunity. He's proved he can coach. He was an assistant at the Tigers under Madge for a while as well, and he's kind of gone about things a different way than sticking around. He could have stuck around there. And the odds are if he did stick around, he probably may have got offered a job in the new kind of structure they've got there. But he'd be someone I'd be prepared to give a go to. For me, coaches need to start looking out of NRL systems. That's the biggest thing. Like another example I've got is my local team, Maitland. I've got a coach here. It's probably the strongest comp outside of the New South Wales Cup, for sure. Got a coach here that coached the Knights for New South Wales Cup comp. He's taken Maitland to 3 straight premierships and 2 Presidents' Cups. And, he could do a job, but they just don't seem to look that far. They seem to go, you played NRL, you'll be a good coach. They don't look at the blokes who career may have been cut short by injuries and stuff and still went on to coach. So that's my opinion on it anyway.
Yeah, I just want to touch on Flanagan. You can both jump in for this one, but where do you guys think he's at in terms of his coaching career? Because I've heard now he's been overlooked for a couple of jobs where I felt like he would have been the front runner if he was sort of putting his name down. But I've also heard some rumours around that a lot of clubs are sort of steering clear of him because of he's been a bit tainted now from what's happened. And where are we at with Flanagan? Because I feel like if he doesn't get one the next probably 12, 24 months, I don't think he's going to get one at all.
You want me to go? You're going to go? I don't rate him as a coach, personally. I personally really that Cronulla Sharks team that he took to a comp. The players he had there, most people could have coached. They played a bit of ad-lib football. There wasn't a lot of structure to it. They was playing off the back of some good quality players and a lot of experience. Had that perfect kind of mix of youth and experience and a bit of flamboyance as well. So I've never really rated him as a coach. He's never really proven himself. For me, I feel like he needs to take an opportunity overseas to prove he is a decent coach. Go across to the Super League and prove himself there for 3 or 4 years like we've seen other blokes do. And then obviously if an opportunity presents, he can come back. So
yeah, no, that's fair. Matty, anything to add there or you?
I'm the same. Speaking to him and the way he speaks when he's a sideline commentator as well, he knows certain things. Like, to me, I feel like he'd make good assistant coach or a coaching director type thing where he can set up structures. I still feel like he's holding out for an Eels job, just saying. But I'm with Adam. I think he needs to just bite the bullet, go overseas, win a couple comps over there, and then see what's available over here. But yeah, like I'd have him at Parra, but some sort of way, shape, and form, because we've seen he's got a footy brain. But the way Manly's going, would you have any of the coaching staff from there?
No, I think that says a lot about Steve-O. We won't try and touch on that at the moment. Another team that just completely misfired at Magic Round, and once again, it was on the Sunday, so this is probably why the Sunday was so shit, to be honest, but the Roosters and the Attack, simply what's doing. I've got a couple of stats here about them. They're the second worst attacking side. They've only scored 153 points so far, which for a Roosters side after, 10 rounds, that's pretty horrible, especially with the calibre of players they get to choose from each and every week. And they're yet to have a game where they've scored over 30 points either. So I think our game was probably their highest score. I think they got to 26 or 28, and that's all they've really done so far. There's been a lot of low 20s and a couple of them in the teens. So a big part of this, I feel like the Brandon Smith signing I want to touch on. I feel like from the start, I don't know if this was ideal for them. It's not really the hooker that they need at the club. But they need more of a crafty hooker who can actually play, not just run the ball. Adam, where are you at with the Roosters? What can you pinpoint for their attack and where it's simply just going wrong? Because they've tried different halves pairings, they've tried backline moves, and it's just not working.
there's a couple of things. You probably hit the nail on the head there. They probably needed Harry Grant instead of Brendan Smith. They probably chased the wrong hooker. But to me, a lot of it stems back to the World Cup. We all saw the player that Joseph Marnie become during the World Cup at fullback. I think they've struggled with a balance issue since he's come back. Look, at the start of the year, I was tipping the Roosters to win the comp. Based on team on paper and what they've done, I thought that they would be one of the top teams for sure. And I said that before. I think they've struggled with the whole Sam Walker, Keary thing for a couple of years now. Like, it was probably pretty under notice last year until they got to games where they had to actually play well. But got to remember, Walker ran that team when Keary was out with his head knocks, right? When Keary come back, Keary all of a sudden took charge of the team, but Walker was wearing 7. They could just never seem to find the balance. For me, Keary's at the end of his career. He probably needs to be pushed on to Super League as well. Sorry, I'm sending everyone off to Super League tonight, but he hasn't got the confidence to take on a line, and so much of their structure is around that. So, as you said, there's no craft hooker. Brendan Smith's just pretty much passing him the ball or running for himself. He's not getting out and attracting defenders and passing the ball off to his halves. He's doing that with his front rowers, not his halves. If you get the ball to Keary at that kind of level and they're up in his face, he's going to struggle. And you've got Manu, who's playing as a 5'8", but essentially playing like a fullback. Then to me, you've got Tedesco at fullback who, well, you know my criticism of Tedesco. He can't pass the ball. He has no ability to stand and pass the ball at the line, and he can't draw defenders in and do that. So I don't know what they do. But to me, it's pretty obvious one of those players has to go. I don't know if it's Keary. If it's Keary, they bring Walker back in and play Manu at 5'8". Or they might have to bite the bullet and get rid of Tedesco and put Joey back to fullback. And then obviously Swoley, just looks like he's not interested in being there, to be honest. And he's not, obviously, if he signed that multi-million-dollar contract, he's probably starting to count his money. I think, do I want to risk injuries to this team that really isn't utilising me the way I should, because he's another person who should be at fullback as well.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned in the halves, because I think I did a post last year on the League of Interest page, and I said that they needed to choose one or the other, and I got a bit of feedback from that. Not some good feedback, but I think it's starting to show that, and I'm glad you mentioned it. I just feel like it's one of their team, but it's not both. It's sort of those two chiefs are trying to do it, but they're just not clicking, and it's, yeah.
Well, kind of, it reminds me of Parramatta in 2010. 2009, you had Mortimer and Jeff Robson there, and Mortimer come through in his first year and was the star and could kind of do what he wanted to do. Well, in 2010, he tried to have that. It was a second-year syndrome in a way, but he wanted to run the team all of a sudden. It just didn't work, and that's kind of what's happened with the Roosters. It's about finding the balance, and like I said, they can't find it. Yeah.
Matty, what do you think? We have seen the half switch up. Is it the right move?
Yeah, no, I would have. I'm with Adam. I reckon I'd give Walker the team and move Keary on. Maybe have Keary be hooker. They had a really, really good hooker rotation last year, and then they bring in Brendan Smith, and it's kind of ruined that. Like, Brendan Smith's more running, doesn't really have a ball playing hooker play. So I think the Joey Manu thing, he has to either be fullback or back to the centers. I think he's wasted 5'8" at the moment. But yeah, I'm with you guys. I think one of them has to go.
I think Brandon Smith's in a stage of his career at the moment where he'd actually make a pretty good lock, but they've got someone called Victor Radley there. So he's got no chance.
That's a handy guy to have.
Yeah,
it's a handy guy to have, but it's probably another bloke they'd be looking to move on if he keeps up his disciplinary record.
Yeah.
So,
that's true.
And I don't know about Keary to hooker either, just with the HIA factor. I think he might be when he's in. So it's and the other thing is they've got Turpin still.
Probably get concussion back in the scrum.
Yeah, well, they've got Turpin in the background still, so I don't know if he's going to do much, but there's an option there, and they've still got I've got the guy that came over from the Knights, Connor Watson. They got Connor Watson still. I think he's coming back in a few. He's still injured, but they've got some issues there. Maybe they've got too many options. Maybe that's their problem. And we see on the weekend, Billy Smith came back. If he could stay injury-free for once and get a decent run, for mine, he has to be in the centres week in, week out. So do you move Swan Davis to the wing? I'm not sure.
You could move into Parramatta. We'll also take one of their backup hookers as well. Not Connor Watson. We'll take
Momorowski or Corey Allen or...
No.
How many more do they want? Hey, we'll take Sawali till he's ready for Union. Like
him and
It's
Will
an
can just be
accident.
best mates and
yeah, exactly. They
make a
they
little.
they say their dream is to play NRL together, so why not let them?
Imagine that. Imagine the flack that the Roosters fans would give the club if they let him off to us. So that would be fantastic. But I
We
got
gave him Nathan Brown, so surely.
yeah, we're waiting for that swap deal, aren't we? We're waiting to actually receive a player. We still haven't done that, but we'll try and keep that to later. But I've asked you guys to come up with a weekly multi each, and I want to see what you've got. I'll go first. I'll get mine out. So give you the viewers and you guys a chance to get yours together. I've got the Storm 1-12. I feel like they're going to get it done against the Brisbane Broncos. I just purely off the fact that Manly was an easy game for the Broncos, and when they versed the Eels the week before, I felt like there was a lot of weaknesses in their game that just Parra wasn't able to really exploit. Well, they've got it delayed, and I don't think the Storm are going to lose another one like they have. So I've got the Panthers just to win outright. I think I was just too unsure about their margin there. I think they could put a score on the Roosters, but Roosters might turn up. I'm not too sure. I've got Cody Walker, anytime try scorer against the Tigers, and I've done Sione Katoa, the Sharks winger, anytime try scorer against Manly, because I've heard that right edge of Manly is just letting in tries at will at the moment. So I felt like the $2 for him at the moment is good. So that was a total of $15.89. So gamble responsibly, of course. So I chucked a lazy fiver on it, obviously, just to get the kitty up, hopefully. Adam, what do you got?
I actually didn't calculate mine. I'm going to calculate it live as we go, but I've just gone a 13 plus multi. So I've picked 4 teams by 13 plus. And the first one, kind of interesting, you did it as well, but you picked a 1-12. I've gone Melbourne. I think Brisbane are due for a big loss. I think they've had a pretty easy start to a comp with not a lot of travel. I feel like they got pretty lucky up there against us as well, playing in Darwin. So I've gone Melbourne 13 plus. Next one I've done is I'm going to do South Sydney 13 plus against the Tigers. I think the Tigers have had their dream run. They've had their 2 wins in a row. And to me, South Sydney at the moment are the team to beat, team to win the comp. I'm hoping they get an easy game because we play them the week after. Cowboys 13 plus against the Dragons as well. They're due. They finally got that win that they needed. They've been struggling for quite a while, and I think they'll go on with it at home. And I know this one's going to create a lot of controversy, and I guess you kind of thought I'd never say it, but I thought the Titans were very lucky last week. I thought we gave them the game. That interesting factor where no team who beats Parramatta can back up and win the week after. Newcastle, after a disappointing loss to Parramatta, then the bye, and then just getting beat by Penrith at home, Newcastle will beat the Gold Coast Titans at 13 plus. So a bit more value in mine. My 4 combined with the power play with your sports bet account is worth $100.08.
There you go. That's good.
5 times, so $500.40 for that one.
Sneaky $5 on that.
Yeah,
$5 on now.
Sneaky one on that one. Matty, what do you got?
All right, I've gone against you in this one, but I've got Broncos plus 2.5. It might be I feel like it could be a golden point field goal shootout.
That's right. Storm can win by 1 and we'll get it good. That's good.
I won't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I got Panthers minus 5.5. As we touched on the Roosters, they're shocking at the moment, and Panthers at home on a Friday night. God help them. I got Souths 13 plus, and I've got Cowboys head to head, and that's paying $9, but $10.20 with the power play. So
they're good. Yeah, look, we're here just to keep the kitty going. Hopefully, as I said, gamble responsibly, guys. Don't put it on us if it doesn't pay off. But I'll post these tomorrow, Thursday, and put it on the page as well, so everyone can go ahead and do what they want with it. But that's it, guys. That is the video back. Hopefully, we are back a bit more frequently now moving forward. We'll test the schedules of both Adam and Matt, see where we're at with everything. We've got to do the Parra podcast as well. But yeah, thanks for coming on, boys. Hope you enjoyed it. Keen to watch a bit more footy over the weekend once again and see where we go. Good luck with the multis.
I'm not watching the game this weekend. I hate footy now.
Thanks, guys. Thank you.